X's and O's with Evan and Bros. Yeah.
Okay, it's X's and O's with Evan and Bros. Of course, it's a talk show, man, talking about sports. The one and only Evan Miller, yeah, that's your host, doing analyzing with the side of jokes. Hey, X's and O's with Evan and Bros. X's and O's with Evan and Bros. X's and O's with Evan and Bros. Hey, analyzing with the side of jokes.
What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 30 of X and O's Evan and Bros. We did do an episode 29, but I did not release it to the public. Reason why? I could not edit it to save my life. Something went wrong, and I was like, oh, screw it. So there is an episode 29. It's just not out there. I probably will release the audio, though, so you can check that out on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Prime Music, Amazon Music, and Spreaker. But this is episode 30. Let me tell you guys, a lot of things been happening in the world of sports. This, we were gone for a little bit, but this whole weekend, huge. When I say huge, I mean Donald Trump, huge. That's how big. Huge. The NBA Finals are set. The Stanley Cup was this weekend. It was yesterday. Taping this Tuesday, Monday night. Speaking of Monday night, Chiefs, Ravens, Monday Night Football. Whew. Guys, it was, when I say it was a weekend. Lakers, Nuggets, Heat, Celtics. Obviously, Heat closed out Celtics. Lakers closed out Nuggets. I mean, it was an action-packed weekend. And then Saturday football, SEC is back. Oh, yeah. SEC is my conference, raised in SEC country. College football is my first love. More specifically, the University of Alabama, Roll Tide. Spent one semester there. Freshman year. Obviously got my degree at the University of Georgia. Go Dogs. Both schools got a dub this weekend. And you're probably going to see more dubs from these respective schools. And I think what you saw from a lot of teams, and there was an upset. Not to get off track, but the Boomer Sooner out. Done. Taken out by Kansas State 2 years in a row. They're not done. I point this similar to when Clemson, I think, lost to Syracuse 2 years in a row. I mean, they'll be fine. Just win out and you'll be in it, especially with how weird this year has been. Or maybe that's the argument against them. This year has been so weird that every win matters and they aren't going to finish, clean. A lot of crazy stuff. But, we're going to start off with the Stanley Cup because I was watching the Monday Night Football last night. The next thing I know, I get an update from Bleacher Report, and Lightning defeat the Stars in Game 6 to win franchise's first Stanley Cup since 2004. Now, that's Tampa Bay Lightning became the Stanley Cup champions for the 2020 asterisk season. They beat the Dallas Stars 2-0 on Monday last night, since it's taping Tuesday. So you see this Wednesday. But I tell you what, their only other title came in 2004. I mean, this is crazy. Good for them. Not a big hockey guy. We don't really cover a lot in hockey. But so I'm going to do my best here to tell you what happened. Notable, thank God for Bleacher Report. Notable performers: Blake Coleman, C, for the Lightning, 1 goal, 5 shots, 4 hits. Nikita Khrushchev. I'm going right wing. Lightning, 1 assist, 4 shots. Braden Point. C. Lightning, 1 goal. I'm guessing center, but 1 goal, 2 shots. Andrei Valersky, guard. I'm looking at these as like basketball positions. Lightning, 22 saves. Oh, goalie. Duh. Anton Kulopin. Goalie. Plays for the Stars. Had 27 saves. So he did his best. I guess this is the only player for the Stars to show up. So I think it's always good to have new blood win championships. Obviously, we're not going to get that in the NBA Finals without the Nuggets in it, because it would have been nice to see the Nuggets in. But, we have tail-time Lakers, taking on the Heat. So it would have been the same with the Celtics especially, way more than the Heat. But yeah, so, hey, congrats to the Lightning. Didn't know Tampa Bay, they play hockey down there. So who knew? But I think, after all this that's happened this year, Florida, if any state needs some, obviously California with a lot of the shit that's happened there, but I think Florida is one of the states that needs some good faith. So I'm happy for Tampa Bay, happy for the Lightning, and I feel bad for the Stars. But it sounds like probably the Stars will be back. The Stars will be back, and so congrats to the Lightning. Let's give another hand for the new Stanley Cup champions, the Tampa Bay Lightnings. Oh, and obviously I'm here by myself today, but that's okay, because it's just me, audience. We know how we do it. That's all we need. That's all we need in the studio. All right, let's move on. Okay, so let's move on. Let's talk NBA, because I think that's a good segue, because that is the new finals that we're about to find out. The Los Angeles Lakers will take on the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat closed out the Boston Celtics in 6. Lakers closed out the Nuggets in 5. Gentlemen sweep. There was no down 3-1 magic for the Nuggets this time in this series, but God, was I hoping there was. Broke my damn heart. Jamal Murray, if he can carry this over into the new season, to 2020-2021 season, bona fide star. All the respect in the world. He just has to carry it over. Jokic, we know he'll be back. He'll be better. He might even be leaner, so he might even be better. Work on his athleticism a little bit. I think we could see some really good things from Jokic still. But Lakers, Heat, LeBron's old team. LeBron's not playing like your normal 35-year-old. Twitter never lets me forget it. Sorry, excuse me. And so I look at these two teams, and they showed ESPN had a graphic up the other day against players that have guarded LeBron, who's done the best. The Heat has 2 of them. Jimmy Butler, of course, and Jay Crowder, who has been playing out of his freaking mind these playoffs. His shots never looked so good. And then you throw Andre Iguodala in there, who's, trust me, well rested. This I mean, honestly, I've been picking against Lakers this entire playoffs, and I'm just exhausted. I'm exhausted from it. I'm going to pick the Lakers to win it, but I want the Heat to win it. I don't pick the Lakers to win it. I'll probably pick Lakers in 6. Lakers in 6. Yeah. But I think these two teams compared to each other match up well. I think they have defenders. Heat's definitely the deeper team. Don't get it twisted. But I still believe in the playoffs. Stars, are the reason why teams win. Because you can only go so deep. And so I think Rajon Rondo is going to guard Dragic his best. And I think LeBron, nice thing is, Jimmy's not going to be forcing the ball. So even if LeBron's guarding Jimmy, he's not going to be exerting a lot of his energy on defense. So it's actually, it's a interesting scenario we have here. AD versus Bam. Both Kentucky grads. And John Calipari didn't have to do anything. He's been putting on recruiting clinic this entire playoffs. He's like, oh, that's your favorite player? You play for me. That's your favorite player? You play for me. Your favorite team's best player? Play for me. It's ridiculous. So, we're just going to see Kentucky get better and better and better. It's unfair. It's unfair. But yeah, so I see, as I'm predicting Lakers in 6, just because I'm done betting against LeBron. He wants it that bad. But I will say, and I wonder if Eric Spoelstra is going to tell his team this. Watching the Nuggets play LeBron, there are cracks in the armor that a lot of LeBron lovers don't see. He does not want to shoot the ball. His game, 18 feet out, 17, mid-range, that's almost gone completely. His is gone. They were daring him to shoot. LeBron can dunk. He gets any layup he wants. If he wants to drive to the lane, he gets it. But that's the only way I've seen him score in these playoffs. And the occasional three-pointer. He might finish 1 for 4. 20%, something like that. But his shot has not looked good. It has not been consistent. So if you can close on those driving lanes, which I think the Heat might be able to do because of their players. And you need guys who can physically match up with LeBron. Jay Crowder can. Dude's also built like a linebacker. Jimmy can. Not as big, but he can. So you got two guys right there that can match up with LeBron, switch. You don't need one guy like Jameer Grant, who, if he gets in foul trouble, is done, then you're screwed. You have a couple guys. Audrey, you got a couple guys. So you can, with LeBron, you can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him. and I think the Heat can. I really do. I think the Heat have the chance. They have the ability. They have the talent. And Hero's been coming out party, lights out rookie. Duncan Robinson. I think it's such a talent the way these guys shoot. It blows my mind. The confidence to literally keep their same stroke and shoot it from anywhere, whether it's off a pick, guys running into them, 3 feet, 4 feet from the basket. It doesn't change. It's so fluid, whether they're 2 feet to 30 feet. It's incredible. I think guys that can shoot like this are amazing. And so you bet on it going in more so than going out. The old game when you're playing basketball out with the boys. I don't even know the game. Screw it. Yeah, something dead. It's what you call it in the air when they shoot it. If they make it, and you call it right, then you get the ball. With them, I would say it's going in 90% of the time. I would say it every time. If that makes any sense for that analogy, I'm so sorry for y'all. I'm so sorry. If I know which one. Yeah. That's my bad. Hey, that was a good guess too. But yeah. So let me get some protein. So yeah, guys. The Heat Lakers matchup is gonna be great. I'm looking forward to it. I predict Lakers in 6, but I'm pulling for the Miami Heat. I really am. All right, so let's talk about more of the NBA because more news drop. Other than the teams that we find out who are going to be in the finals. Doc Rivers was released as well. I'm sure it was mutual part ways, but he is no longer the head coach for the Clippers. And I'm not terribly mad at this decision, but similar, I just don't know who they're going to get because they're in contending mode now. They're contending right now between Kawhi and Paul George. So I don't know who is a better coach than Doc out on the market. Popular name being thrown around is Ty Lue, assistant to Doc Rivers, former NBA champion coach, head coach, led Cavs. But I'm one of these people, and I actually would love, maybe it's like an Eric Spoelstra situation. Give him the opportunity to prove me, even though you're handing them two really good players. Give him the opportunity to prove me wrong and show me that he really is that talented of a coach. Because I don't see, and maybe it's the LeBron effect because I probably feel the same about Frank. I do feel the same about Frank. It is the LeBron effect. But Frank's an okay coach. He's just not that. He's not a Nick Nurse, Brad Stevens, Eric Spoelstra of the world. All coaches reside in the West. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens for the Clippers and what coaching decision they go with. Because because when Boston let go of Doc the first time, they were going basically full-blown rebuild mode. They went and hired one of the youngest, hottest coaches in the college game, Brad Stevens. They did not expect to be not contending, but competitive the year after, which they were. They were not banking on that. They were done. They were kind of going on the process route. But Brad was a good coach. So I would almost say if I was the Clippers, go do something different. Go get something exciting. Try to get one of these college head coaches. Young. Somebody you can have in your building for 20 plus years. I don't think they're going to do it. I think Ty Lue's probably the guy. He's already in-house. Championship experience. Can't take that away from him. And I guess as long as the players respect and like him, he probably fits, especially in that locker room. You can assume Harold won't be back. And I think they're going to have to try to get somebody else. Borderline all-star. Somebody around there who either plays center or power forward, a rim protector. I don't know how they do it with Cap, but this team's definitely going to look a little different. And it should, because they didn't like each other anyway, They didn't enjoy playing with each other. They blew this lead. Everybody was pointing fingers. Nobody wanted to take blame. Paul calling Paul George a layoff P instead of playoff P. He's got some things to figure out. And if this series was in LA, did the Clippers win? Did the Clippers blow a 3-1 lead? Probably not. So this conversation is probably irrelevant because next year they'll be playing home and home. They won't have to worry about a bubble. They won't have to worry about being away from your families. They get to be where they want to be, and that is in their new spanking new stadium, Coliseum, if you will, once that's finished. But yeah, I think head coaching wise, for Doc, what's his next move? Sources are linking him to the Pelicans, Houston, where his son is, maybe Philly. Every team should call, by the way, every team. And so I think there's bounds of possibilities. I was asking Eldad, who's going to appear on the second half of the show, I asked him, where do you think he should go? And he was like, I think the Pelicans. And only reason why I don't know, and I just don't know, this is him. It's his preference. Does he really want to coach, young players? Does he really want to coach guys who might be a couple years away? Maybe that's better. It takes all the pressure off because he's always expected to compete for a championship. And not saying the Pelicans can't do that. They can. They got Zion, generational type talent. But I just don't know if for his sake, for his legacy's sake, he wants to go through that. Now, he might. That's all up to him. I don't know where his head's at. If he wants to go to a team that might contend, I like him in Philly. I do like him in Philly. I think I really like him in Houston because I think he can get a lot from Harden in his respect. So I think the two probably possible landing spots. I tell you what, yeah, that's it. If his heart is where I want to contend, I want to compete, he's going to Houston, and his son's there. If he's in the point of his life where he's like, you know what, I really want to help build young men. I really want to, I want to be out of the limelight for a little bit. And you're still getting national television games with Zion. But I want these expectations lifted off my shoulders. You go to the Pelicans. And so now I'm kind of talking myself into him going into the Pelicans. Because I think that idea of not having to worry about competing year in and year out and all these disappointments that he has had with the Clippers, with the Celtics, I think you take that. But if he's like, hey, I want one of the top 5 players in the league and I want to compete tomorrow, go to Houston. Figure a way out to trade Russell Westbrook's ass out of there and go to Houston. That's my humble opinion. But I could see a scenario where he wants to go back to the East, which could play another factor. The conference. He might be tired of the West. A lot of NBA is going to look very different. And especially Indianapolis. Moving on to our next subject. Victor Oladipo wants out of Indy. I don't blame him. This franchise fumbles everything. Think about it. Your franchise could have had Kawhi Leonard and Paul George by drafting them. They had them. And they said, bye. Damn franchise. Miles Turner apparently wants out. And at this point in their careers, you might be able to get more from Miles Turner than you are for Victor. Victor's come off injury. Miles still young. Pretty cheap deal considering how high his ceiling is. If he can really put in his best foot forward, stretch big, that plays defense like he does. And I think he's only making around 14. Has a few more years on that contract. Hell yeah. Some whispers, some possible trade destinations, maybe Golden State. You trade that number 2 pick. I just feel like it's a lot, but it also it matters, how much do you value this draft? Possibly even the Celtics after their collapse. They need a rim protector. They need a guy. It's pretty clear Tice is good. I'm not taking anything away from him. I respect the dude. He hung in there the best he can. But you need a guy to compete with Bam. You need a guy to compete with Embiid. You need a guy to compete with Giannis. You need a guy to compete with Vucevic. There's a lot. Andre Drummond. I mean, there's a lot of really good centers in the Eastern Conference. So, if the Celtics trade for him, I don't know what they give up. Maybe Langford. I heard somebody say you throw a package of Victor and Turner to the Celtics for Langford, Gordon Hayward, another piece, and I think a pick. I don't do that if you're Indiana. I would probably trade separately. Robert Williams included in that. I'll try to do it separately to get as much as you can. Because I think there will be teams looking for that third star that will reach for Victor. I really do. Now, what team would that be? I have no clue. A team that's hasn't been talked about that I think if they've asked third star. What about the Brooklyn Nets? Go get Victor Oladipo. KD, Kyrie, Victor. Maybe you trade Jared Allen because they don't play him anyway. Jared Allen. Maybe Karras. Nice thing is they're roughly close. There's only a couple years off from the age. Might have talked myself into that. All right. Well, that's NBA talk. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with y'all. Hopefully, Eldad will be on the show in the next 30 minutes. See you guys.
Hey guys, take this moment to like and subscribe, and also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Curbside Entertainment and Curbside Network, respectively. You can also find us on Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to X and O's with Evan and Bros. I'm your most gracious host, Evan. Joining me for the second half of the show is Mr. L. Daddy Sailor.
Good morning.
Are you telling me you climbed in out of that bed right behind you and you're here now?
Yeah.
That's all you had to do?
I told you 6 steps.
And you couldn't do that for the first 30 minutes?
I wasn't awake for the first 30.
You know how hard it is for me to talk NHL?
Good, I missed that part.
Go
Lightning.
It was about a 2-minute segment. I can only say so much. I don't even know what the positions are, and I was struggling. I was like, these look like NBA positions. I was like, Levechka? G? I know it's not guard. And then I was like, then I read the 27 saves, and I was like, goalie! I was like, yeah.
You said guard? They do have a center. They do have a center.
Okay, so that's what C is.
Yeah.
I guessed. Okay. Got that right.
You did well.
Got that right. All right. So you missed hockey talk. You missed basketball talk. So now it's on to college football and football in general, NFL as well. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay. All right. So let's lead off with this breaking news. And we're going to jump back and forth between college football and NFL. But the Tennessee Titans, who faced off with the Minnesota Vikings this past Sunday. Vikings had it, then lost it, just like this whole entire season. Fire Mike Zimmer. Dude sucks. I don't know why. I know they just extended him, but fire him anyway. Would I not tell you he sucks? I told you like that 4 shows ago.
Yeah,
like
we talked about how it was a stupid re-sign.
Stupid re-sign. We covered the re-sign. It was stupid. Three Titan players test positive for COVID-19 post-game. So both the Vikings and the Tennessee Titans are doing complete shutdown for the week, which good call. try to get it, quickly as possible. So I guess we'll just see after this coming Sunday what happens. I guess that's all you can do. Right? I mean, because obviously
the thing you can do is quarantine now.
Yeah, I mean, they tested negative last week, so it's not like they played another team. So, I mean, I guess you wait. I guess lucky they don't play Thursday Night Football. So if that was the case, I don't know what would have happened. But in this scenario, I mean, the Vikings might as not play freaking down anyway. Freaking garbage ass team. Who do you think tested positive?
Better be Kirk. The Vikings want Kirk gone.
I really think if I was them, I don't know who's being paid more or how the deals work. I would just do a terrible swap him and Jimmy G just for shits and giggles.
No, that's okay. We're good.
Are you sure you don't want that?
It's okay.
I don't know.
That's fine.
I feel like they're the same caliber of quarterbacks, so just say screw it or send him back to Washington.
That's fine.
Trade him for Chase Young straight up.
That is a Washington move. That unfortunately is a Washington move. But no, they're eventually going to trade for Derek Carr for Chase Young straight up.
And I guess Derek Carr's better than both of them, right?
The stats kind of show it.
That's what the stats tell me for the last 5 years. Derek Carr entered the league in 2014.
I think so.
Yeah. Did he have Amari Cooper his rookie year? Who was in the league first?
I think Derek was in the league first.
And then they got Amari?
I think so.
So then he might have been 2013.
You can look it up.
Well, all right. While you're looking that up, I'm just curious. It's not really that big of a deal, but I'm just, questions. Yeah, so I think they'll quarantine, and I mean you're really only contagious for about 4 days after being exposed. So if they're showing signs and symptoms, now everybody's that's the weird thing about this, COVID.
Derek Carr 2014, Amari Cooper 2015.
Like Cooper's like 27 years old. He's such a but I'm trying to think of somebody else from the 2015 draft. I feel like is like still 23 years old. Well, we were talking about like NBA, right? Like
yeah.
Ben Simmons is like 22. So
you got to spend at least 2 years in college.
God, and I don't know if it ruins because I think some college football players are complete like look at Dabo talk about Hunter Renfrow. He came into the building 150 pounds soaking wet. I mean, could you imagine that kid going to the NFL the year after?
Yeah, then he spent 9 years at Clemson, came out at age 27, and the rest is history.
Just like his hairline. But yeah. So they'll quarantine. It'll be fine, I think. I'm not too concerned. And they get tested before the Sunday games. So, yeah, I mean, if they're, you saw Wake Forest and Notre Dame suspend their game. So, I mean, they'll probably just suspend their next. So you just won't get 2 football games next week.
Yeah, most likely they'll just have to. I bet they just force the Titans and Vikings to take their bye this week.
Oh, that's a good call. And then just play during the. Well, they already played each other.
They'd have to move around a lot, actually.
Yeah, a lot will change, but that's fine. We'll stay in the NFL realm right now. The Kansas City Chiefs, reigning Super Bowl champions, took on the Baltimore Ravens last night. Almost every media person had the Ravens winning that game. It's in Baltimore. Baltimore's been playing better. That's true. You can argue, have a better defense. They're old, but you can argue they have a better defense. Lamar Jackson looked like, past tense, looked like he had taken that next step that everybody's been, hoping for. But I tell you what, Patty came into Baltimore and just freaking took it from him. I mean, he's every time he's on the field, it's just must-watch football.
Made some stupid throws that first half, just impossible throws. Running left, crossbody,
jumping, back throw,
perfect
back
underhand
leg
spiral.
Yeah, perfect underhand spiral. I mean, we were talking about this last night, and like the rumor is that like Aaron Rodgers is bored, or hates it. Well, not the rumor, but like he looks like he hates it. I think Patrick Mahomes' emergence has also lit a fire under Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I think he used to always got the smoke in his ass where he's the most talented thrower of the football.
He always, regardless of what he did, he was always going to get that.
Yeah, regardless of what he did, whatever the record was, people would always argue he might not be the GOAT. He might not have the championships, but he's probably the most talented thrower of the football.
Yeah.
Coming Patrick Mahomes. I think he's way more talented. Not way more talented, I guess I think they're very similar quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I think they're almost identical.
Yeah, Mahomes actually can match like Rodgers' highlight reel.
Yeah, for sure. So now he has that competition for that title. So now I think he's like, I got to step up. So that's why you saw Aaron Rodgers against, people thought a really good defense in New Orleans throw no-look passes.
People thought wrong.
People did think wrong, but people thought wrong about the Baltimore Ravens as well. Because they said the stat line, we were both like shocked about it, that Lamar's 21 and 1.
21 and 1 against the rest of the NFL, not including playoffs, but 21 and 1 against the rest of the NFL as a starter, 0 and 3 against the Chiefs.
That's insane. Insane. Like,
just can't beat them.
And I saw that he called them their kryptonite. One, don't say that. Because most likely you will see them in the playoffs if everything goes accordingly. And so why would you do that? Why would you say that they're your kryptonite? Because guess what? I don't know if you obviously don't know about Superman, but Superman can't beat kryptonite. There isn't like a scenario where Superman's out here beating kryptonite.
Yeah, it's always a really stupid analogy.
Just say they're your creed. You're Rocky and they're your creed.
Yeah.
So you will overcome it. Just not this time.
They're our kryptonite.
And I told you, I said whichever team wins this will lose the second game. So I think this bolts in favor for Baltimore. But they just have to beat Tennessee. Which I don't know if they can. That's just, Tennessee is just such a hard team to beat in the later years because everybody's bruised, everybody's hurt, everybody's tired. And they're still going to give it to Derek 40 times and it doesn't matter. It's just funny. It's just but Baltimore runs the same type of, they have to get up on you.
Yeah, that system isn't built for them to try to come from behind. No. They have to be ahead.
They have to be ahead. Same with Tennessee. There's a couple of these. I mean, look at Minnesota. I mean, there's some of these teams that rely on the run, which I respect. But it's just if you get down early.
Yeah.
Like you saw, it was before half, right? I think it was 21-10. I think the score was. But they were still running, or they came out of the half.
Yeah, and they were still run heavy.
And they were still run heavy.
Yeah.
And honestly, the game is pretty much out of hand. Your defense is not stopping Mahomes.
Yeah.
You just got to throw it. One, you got to put Lamar in these situations
Yeah.
where he has to throw and make it a game where they can get him back into the game with his arm.
Yeah.
We were talking last night. I mean, I might drop Lamar in my quarterback rankings because out of the guys I can think of, I mean, I'm going to put Aaron Rodgers ahead of him. I mean, it's okay if you don't, but like I think
the way he's playing now.
I mean, you look at Russell.
Yeah.
Obviously number 2 right behind. I mean, you could argue he's number 1, but I mean, and I wouldn't be mad, but Mahomes and Russell. And then I think just Lamar proved, and I think he probably had some open guys, and there were some drops. Mark Andrews had some drops.
Mark Andrews did not look good.
Mark Andrews looked uncomfortable all night. And so they but his wideouts couldn't get open. And so
and then times Hollywood was open, he just either underthrew him or Hollywood dropped it.
And I think it was that streak down the sideline.
Yeah.
And he clearly underthrew him, threw it to the corner.
Bullet to that corner though.
He wanted the corner to catch it. He did throw it, and so that's when you're playing Madden. You definitely hold down X. You hold down the button, and it definitely underthrows, or just for some reason the timing doesn't make any sense for it. And Lamar was on that timing. I'm not worried about the Ravens, but if I were them, you have to get one against Kansas City because this is going to start to build. And it might be a scenario where you see it where it's like the Colts versus New England, Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady, where Peyton always does better regular season, but come playoff time, you go to Chief Kingdom, you play an Arrowhead, they don't stand a chance. Your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I think maybe the Ravens should come out this weekend against the football team and just try to go down 21-0 on purpose and see if they can just air it out, because they have really big problems coming back from behind.
They do.
They've got to win one of these games where if they get a lead, if they go up 14-0, you're never beating this team.
No.
You're just not. But on the Chiefs' hand, Mahomes is great, but also their defense looks scary. They shut down Deshaun Watson, shut down Lamar, and then the Chargers always keep it close. They're like the Dolphins and the Patriots, where they'll always keep a close game.
It's a divisional game. It's in division. These teams know each other better than anybody.
Yep.
And the Chargers have a really good defense.
Yeah, and they always, every time, they keep it close.
I mean,
but the Chiefs look scary.
Their
play calling looks incredible.
The Chiefs look scary, and I mean, I would argue. I don't know. I still think the Ravens are better, but the Bills are right on them.
Yeah,
because it looks like the Bills can air it out a little better than the Ravens.
The Bills can air it out,
and they got a defensive-minded head coach.
Yeah.
You see, that's my point. Where the Bills. Josh Allen still isn't the most accurate quarterback. Like, he still has his flaws, but they're still not afraid to air it out.
Yeah, he does not hesitate, though. That's kind of what holds him back sometimes, because he'll take these bonehead plays that basically put the Rams back in the game.
But you gotta, if you're the Ravens, you have to trust Lamar.
Yeah.
A little more, and I think they trust him, but. Do your play calling where you trust him.
Yeah. It also comes down to, is it a good Marcus Peters game or a bad Marcus Peters game? So I told you, 4 minutes into the game, this is a bad Marcus Peters game.
And he had a terrible game.
And he had an awful one.
I mean, he looked out of it. He looked so confused the entire game. Humphrey had a really good game.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really help if one of your corners doesn't, If one of the corners shut, that means the other guy's putting up 200 yards receiving. So it was just, I guess it could have been just one of those games for Marcus. Which again, it's kind of weird because he was at home. He was, like no crowd really, no. But I don't know. Marcus is always hot or cold. He's either a top 5 corner with playmaking ability, or he's buns and he's lost.
It's like what Janoris Jenkins was like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Prime Janoris.
So if these two teams match up again, who are you taking?
I think Chiefs. Just because if they're behind, I still give them a chance. And if they're ahead, the Ravens just aren't built for it.
Well, it was even crazier. The Chiefs had that game. I mean, it felt like they had it by the half, right?
Well, the Ravens their first half, they only scored off of the kick return.
Yeah. So
take that away, and their offense had like 60 yards.
Yeah, so it felt like Chiefs were in control the entire time, and they were still airing it out in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
That is what's absurd.
What's crazy is now they can really like control the clock because Clyde got like 20-something carries last night. I didn't think they were going to use him like that.
No, and we were talking about it, and I mean, what did he finish with fantasy?
Like PPR, I think 18, 19.
I guess he didn't have a touchdown. I would have went more. But he was still catching the ball.
Yeah.
And he never goes down after first contact. Which is very impressive.
That's that they showed before the game. 180 yards on the season before the game, 85 after contact. Just not possible.
No, the dude does not go down after you have to bring everybody. And they can't control the clock now. But they don't have to control the clock. Because what they do, they just have such a fun way of playing football.
Yeah.
And they were talking, and I don't see how this OC does not get a head coaching job next year.
The Falcons. It's got to be. Every single member of the fan base is asking for it.
Are they?
Yeah. It was trending on Twitter, and it was just all Falcons.
Well, you get some weapons, and you do have a talented quarterback in Matt Ryan. I was telling my dad, I was like, if I was them, I would ship off Matt Ryan, start over fresh, and get one of the Georgia quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields.
Oh, you meant Stetson Bennett or JT Daniels?
They're from Georgia.
It really.
Because you could get a lot from Matt Ryan.
I know the Falcons are going to finish 7-9 this year. I know they're going to go like 6-2 over the last 8 games. They're gonna blow. They're not even going to get tank. Like they have to trade Matt Ryan now, or else they're not. They're not going to get the right pick.
That's I would trade him. I mean, honestly, to one of these teams that have every. I don't know. Again, I trade him to Minnesota. But you have to get somebody to take Kurt out, and maybe you do a swap and just bank on Kurt being that bad. But watch him still go 6-2 in the last 8 games. He
also is locked in for 6 to 7 wins a year.
So it's like there's some of these teams, and Jacksonville won't take them. I don't know what team would, but I think some contending teams would call for Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
And offer a first-round pick.
It'd be tough. I could see Washington doing it for no reason.
You don't think a team would?
Not at first. I mean, what is he, like 35, 36?
Yeah, but, I mean, he's still really good.
He is still really good. I mean, I'd like him on the Niners.
I mean, look at
first for him.
You wouldn't still?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
It's tough.
It's a weird market. I don't know.
But the Falcons should get rid of him and start fresh.
Yeah.
They should really kind of trade Julio and start fresh too.
I mean,
let's roll with Ridley as the number 1. Russell Gage has looked pretty good.
Yeah. I not mad. I would like Julio to finish as a Falcon.
Yeah, me
And I
too.
think Falcon fans would like Julio to finish as a Falcon.
Yeah.
But there might be a scenario where that might be the best thing for him too, not just.
Yeah, if you trade Matt and Julio, you can get so many picks like that. That'll get you picks.
Yeah, but you also have to fire Dan Quinn.
Yeah, that comes first.
That comes first. Yeah,
Probably
agreed.
the GM too.
Isn't the GM that young guy? Or is
Probably
it,
still Dimitrov.
or do they have a president?
I think they have a president. I thought it was still Dimitrov, honestly.
We might be thinking about the same guy. But
I know it was trending that they want Louis Riddick. All the fans.
dude, I like Louis Riddick. I'm actually Louis Riddick. He's an ESPN personality, and I think he's so smart. And I'm actually a big fan of Louis Riddick. I love everything he usually says. I've never really disagreed with him. I think Dan Orlovsky should be a OC or a DC because he knows what the offense is running every damn play. He's basically
It just sucks to hear him talk because you're like, he knew exactly what to do at every point in time and just did not have the talent to execute it.
God, I feel. Did you see him tweet? He was like, "My 0-16 Lions would get like 5 wins against what team was he calling out? The Jets."
Got to be the Jets.
He said the Jets. He was like, he was so confident in his 0-16 Lions. I think he got to wear that with the badge of honor, right? Because you helped them get Matthew Stafford. So
yeah,
good on you, Dan. So we got about 5 minutes here, and so let's go and cover college football as much as we can. So the SEC is back. And there was a couple big upsets over the weekend. One I would not consider an upset, though. I do not. Obviously, the Oklahoma one was. Kansas State came back out. I referenced in the beginning of the show how this is similar to the Syracuse beating Clemson 2 years in a row. How it feels very much so like that. But the question is, because of the weird year, COVID-19, eye test is super important. Probably all the wins really matter. Maybe it just depends what I don't know the criteria. Does this automatically knock Oklahoma out this year, though?
I would think so, just because the Big 12 has looked atrocious.
Yeah. I mean, there isn't another besides Texas, right?
Yeah, and even Texas did not.
I mean, I'm sure Texas will have a loss by the end of the season. So it's just going to be a weird year. I don't know how they're going to judge it. I mean, do you really put a 7-win Ohio State in? 8-win? Do you put a 7-win Oregon team in?
No.
I mean, how do you do that? I don't know. When
it really depends on how good the rest of the conference looks.
So if
stuff,
we only have so much time left, but if say Georgia loses to Alabama, but that's their only loss on the year.
Do you put them in?
Do you put them as a 9-1 team? Do you put a 7-0 Oregon team over a 9-1 Georgia team?
Well, then does that mean Florida also goes 9-1, 10-0, and then loses to Bama in the SEC championship?
So Georgia beats Florida, but Florida, well, then Georgia still had the tiebreaker, right?
Yeah. So Georgia
would be out.
Good. They would have to beat Bama.
They would have to beat Bama in the SEC championship. Okay, so all right. So
they'd have to beat Bama in the regular season too. I feel like. Yeah, they would have to beat Bama. They'd have to beat Bama one of the times to go 9-1.
Yeah, one. I said lose and then beat them in the SEC championship.
You know that's not happening.
Yeah, but because I know you, but like, there's this. I don't know. This it's going to be a weird year in college football. Yeah. Your best bet is you have to go undefeated, because if you don't go undefeated, everything's up in the air.
Yeah. Plus, it's hard to like how much do these week 1, I guess week 3 or whatever losses really count? Because like we know these teams have all looked kind of awful.
Yeah, and
Like overall,
I mean, how do you?
Teams aren't good.
I mean, how do you judge Florida putting up, 50-something points on Kentucky, not Kentucky, on who they play? Ole Miss. But Ole Miss also put like 30 up on Florida's defense. Is that Lane Kiffin? Is that, we were talking about, it's like either teams are going to play really good defense and be stalemates, or it's just going to be offensive firepower. That's what you got in the Florida Ole Miss game. But real quick, we got to talk about the defending national champions did lose, and I predicted they were going to lose. I don't know why they were ranked so high, because they lost everybody on this team.
Every starter.
Every starter, because the cornerback Stingley did not play.
Yep.
So they literally had no returning player on the offensive or defensive side of the ball. I don't think I've ever seen that happen.
No.
That is absurd.
Yeah.
So
and against the Mike Leach offense,
they were going to lose, but they did come back. They fought back.
They looked better than I thought they would, all things considered.
Well, I mean, you still got 5-star talent.
Yeah.
But yeah, quick thoughts. Anything? Got 30 seconds. Go. Anything you want to say?
Mike Leach, go win the West. Do what you got to do.
Mike Leach won't win the West. But I am a little more nervous about that Alabama-Mississippi State game. I'm more concerned about that game than I am about Alabama-Georgia.
That's fair. I mean, Georgia. Hey, JT Daniels was cleared conveniently.
Not named the starter yet. All right, guys. That is this week's episode of X's and O's, Evan and Bros. Episode 30. Big 3-0. We're moving right along. Toss and take us out. Nice for you to join us, Eldad.
The least I could do.